Admiral Seojin Choi stood in the center of the war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing ship movements across the solar system. Red dots represented human vessels moving into position. Blue dots showed Council observation posts scattered throughout nearby star systems. The aliens were watching, but they had no idea what they were really seeing. "Status report," Seojin ordered. Fleet engineer Minji Han stepped forward with her tablet. "All shipyards are operating at maximum capacity. We've completed construction on 823 vessels as of this morning. The new weapon systems are installed and tested on all ships." "What about the shield analysis?" "That's where it gets interesting, sir." Minji activated a display showing alien ship designs. "We've been studying the wreckage from that Council patrol ship that crashed on Titan last year. Their shields are incredibly advanced, but they have a critical weakness." She pointed to a section of the display. "They operate on a very narrow frequency band. Our kinetic weapons should pass right through them." Tactical Officer Dongmin Yu joined the conversation. "Sir, we've also identified major flaws in their battle tactics. According to our intelligence, they haven't fought a real war in over 1,000 years. They're used to facing primitives with laser weapons and chemical rockets." "Show me," Seojun said. Dongmin activated another display. "They rely heavily on intimidation. Big ships, bright energy weapons, lots of noise and flash. Their formations are designed to look impressive rather than be effective. They always attack from the front, never use flanking maneuvers, and they retreat the moment they take significant casualties." Seojin nodded. "They've gotten soft. What about their intelligence networks?" Commander Sunmi Kang stepped out of the shadows. She had just returned from a 3-week mission beyond Pluto, and her stealth ship was still cooling down from the journey. "I've mapped every Council military installation within 50 light-years of Earth," she reported. "They have observation posts, but no major fleets in our area. Most of their forces are concentrated around their core worlds, thousands of light-years away." "How long would it take them to respond to an attack?" Seojin asked. "At least 2 weeks. For a significant force to arrive. Their fastest ships still can't match our new jump drives." Seojun allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had spent 5 years preparing for this moment, while the rest of the galaxy thought Earth was a peaceful world just beginning to explore space. Every factory and shipyard had been secretly converted to military production. The breakthrough had come when Dr. Hyoknam's team recovered that crashed Council ship. Instead of trying to copy alien technology, human scientists had studied it to find weaknesses. The results were better than anyone had hoped. "Sir," interrupted Intelligence Officer Junho Bei, "we're receiving new transmissions from Council space. They're discussing something called a demonstration fleet. Put it on the main screen." The holographic display showed intercepted alien communications. The translation software was still imperfect, but the meaning was clear enough. "They're planning to send 200 ships to Earth," Junho continued. "Not to attack immediately, but to encourage compliance with their demands. The fleet will arrive one day before our deadline expires." "What else?" Junho's expression grew dark. "Sir, they're also discussing contingency plans. If we refuse their terms, they intend to destroy 3 human colonies as an object lesson to the rest of the galaxy." Silence filled the war room. Every officer present had friends or family on those colonies. New Seoul, with its population of 2 million. Busan Station, humanity's first successful deep space settlement. Armstrong City on Luna, where many of their families lived. Seojin felt anger rising in his chest, but he forced himself to remain calm. "How long until this demonstration fleet arrives?" 18 days, sir." "Perfect." Seojin turned to address his staff. "Ladies and gentlemen, the Council has just made our decision for us. They want to threaten innocent civilians to force our surrender. That ends now." He activated the fleet communication system. Across the solar system, 800 ship captains appeared on the display. "This is Admiral Choi. Operation Thunder is now active. All vessels will proceed to assigned positions immediately. We have 18 days to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity." As the captains acknowledged their orders, Seojun turned to his engineering team. "Minji, what's the status on our special projects?" The orbital defense platforms are 90% complete. We'll have 500 automated weapon stations ready within 2 weeks. Each one can crack a small moon. The stealth modifications? All ships are equipped with the new cloaking systems. We've tested them against Council sensors, and they're completely invisible until they're ready to fire. Seojin nodded. The stealth technology was humanity's greatest advantage. Council sensors were designed to detect the energy signatures of their own technology. Human ships, running on different principles, could approach undetected. What about the jump inhibitors? Engineer Sang-Ho Lee stepped forward. Every ship in the fleet has been equipped with the prototype systems. Once we activate them, nothing within 50,000 kilometers can jump to hyperspace. Excellent. That means no survivors to report back. Commander Sun-Mi Kang raised her hand. Sir, what about the civilian populations on the threatened colonies? They're being evacuated as we speak. Officially, it's a routine safety drill. Unofficially, we're moving them to secure bunkers on the far side of their respective planets. And the Council observers? Let them watch. They'll see exactly what they expect to see. A few dozen human ships running scared evacuation missions. They won't detect our main fleet until it's too late. As the meeting broke up, Seojin remained behind with his senior staff. They had been planning this moment for 5 years, but the reality was still overwhelming. Sir, Minji said quietly, are we really going to do this? Once we fire the first shot, there's no going back. Seojin looked at the display showing Earth and its colonies. Billions of people who had never asked for this war, who just wanted to live their lives in peace. The Council made the choice for us, he replied. They could have offered genuine partnership. Instead, they demanded surrender and threatened to murder our families. That's not negotiation, that's terrorism. Dongmin nodded. Besides, we've seen what happens to species that submit. They become slave workers in Council factories. Their children are taken away for education. Their cultures disappear within a generation. And if we lose? Sun-Mi asked. Seojun was quiet. For a moment. Then at least we'll go down fighting. But I don't think we're going to lose. The Council has forgotten what real war looks like. They're about to get a reminder. He activated the communication system one more time. Dr. Nam, are you receiving this? The scientist's face appeared on the screen. Yes, Admiral. How are the weapon tests proceeding? Better than expected. The new railguns can punch through anything the Council has. The plasma torpedoes are devastating against their armor. And the swarm drones? Dr. Nam smiled. Let's just say the Council has never seen anything like them. Good. Because in 18 days we're going to introduce them to human engineering. As the transmission ended, Seojin looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, a Council fleet was heading toward Earth, confident in their superiority. They expected to find frightened humans begging for mercy. Instead, they would find 800 warships waiting in the dark, crewed by a species that had never learned how to surrender. The galaxy was about to discover that humans were very different from every other species they had encountered. Humans didn't just fight to win. They fought to make sure their enemies never threatened anyone. Again, the countdown had begun. Captain Minho Park stood on the bridge of the UEF ship Indomitable and watched the massive alien station grow larger on the screen. Nexus Prime was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The station stretched for hundreds of miles in every direction, its silver surface gleaming under the light of 3 different suns. First time seeing the Council's capital? Asked Engineer Yuna Kim as she walked up beside him. Minho nodded. It's impressive. But size isn't everything. The communications. Officer Jiwon Lee looked up from her station. Captain, we're getting a signal from the station. They want us to dock at Bay 47. Take us in, Minho ordered. He straightened his uniform and checked his appearance one last time. Today would change everything for humanity. He just hoped it would change for the better. The Galactic Council had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. Every species that reached the stars eventually met them. Most were happy to join their great empire. Those who refused simply disappeared from history. 3 months ago, human ships had finally broken through the light barrier and traveled to other star systems. Within days, a council ship had appeared over Earth. The aliens inside had been polite, but firm. Humanity was invited to join the galactic community. The invitation came with rules. Now Minho and his crew were here to hear those rules in person. The docking process took 2 hours. Council technology guided the human ship into the ID massive bay with ease. When the airlock opened, Minho was surprised to find that the aliens breathed the same air as humans. A tall, thin creature with blue skin and 4 arms waited for them. Its head was larger than a human's, and its eyes were completely black. When it spoke, a device around its neck translated the words into English. "Welcome, humans. I am Valdris, Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Council. Please follow me." Minho, Yuna, and Jiwan followed the alien through corridors filled with creatures from dozens of different worlds. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Minho had trouble believing they were real. All of them stopped to stare at the humans as they passed. The council chamber was enormous. Representatives from hundreds of different species sat in rows that rose up toward a domed ceiling. At the center of the room stood a platform where Valdris led the human delegation. "Citizens of the galaxy," Valdris announced, "today we welcome a new species to our great community. The humans of Earth have traveled far to join us." The alien crowd made various sounds that the translator couldn't handle. Minho assumed they were cheering, but it was hard to tell. Another alien stepped forward. This one was larger than Valdris, with thick armor covering its body and weapons hanging from its belt. "I am Thexan, War Prime of the Council Forces," it said. "I will explain the terms of humanity's membership." Thexan activated a holographic display that showed a document written in hundreds of different languages. The English version appeared in front of the humans. "This is the Covenant of Submission," Thexan continued. "Every new species must sign it before joining our community. The terms are simple and fair." Minho began reading the document. With each line, his anger grew. The covenant wasn't an invitation to join anything. It was a surrender document. According to the terms, Earth would become a protected world under council authority. All human military forces would be disbanded. Earth's government would be replaced by a council-appointed administrator. Humans would be classified as Tier 9 auxiliaries and given jobs appropriate to their primitive technology level. "These terms are quite generous," Valdris said with what might have been a smile. "Many species receive much harsher treatment when they first join us." Yuna leaned close to Minho and whispered, "Captain, this is slavery." Minho nodded, but kept his expression calm. "What happens if we refuse these terms?" he asked. Thexan's armor made grinding sounds as it moved. "Refusal is not recommended. Species that reject our protection face economic isolation from the galactic community. Trade becomes impossible. Technology transfer stops. Most civilizations collapse within a few years." "And if they still refuse?" Minho pressed. "Then we are forced to take more direct action," Thexan replied. "For the good of galactic peace, of course." Jiwan's hand moved toward her sidearm, but Minho caught her eye and shook his head slightly. "This wasn't the time or place for a fight. We appreciate your generous offer," Minho said carefully. "However, such an important decision requires input from our entire government. We'll need time to discuss these terms with our leaders on Earth." "How much time?" Valdris asked. 30 days should be sufficient." The alien representatives looked at each other and made more untranslatable sounds. Finally, Valdris nodded. "Very well. You have 30 standard days to return with your government's decision. We trust you will make the wise choice." As the humans were escorted back to their ship, Yuna noticed something strange. "Captain, did you see how they looked at our equipment?" "What do you mean?" "They kept staring at my engineering scanner like it was a toy. And when I mentioned our fusion drives, a few of them actually laughed." Jiwan added, "The weapons officer seemed amused when he saw my sidearm. He called kinetic weapons primitive and asked if we still used gunpowder." Minho frowned. He'd noticed the condescending attitudes, too. The aliens clearly saw humans as backwards children who needed guidance. That could be useful. Once they were back aboard the Indomitable and heading toward Earth, Minho called a private meeting with his senior staff. He activated the ship's most secure communication system and opened a channel to Earth. Dr. Hyok Nam appeared on the screen. He was Earth's chief scientist and the man responsible for humanity's breakthrough in faster-than-light travel. He also ran Earth's most secret project. "How did it go, Captain?" Dr. Nam asked. "Exactly as we expected," Minho replied. "They want us to surrender completely. They're giving us 30 days to accept, and they still don't suspect anything. Nothing. They think we're a primitive species that just discovered space travel. They have no idea we've been monitoring their communications for months." Dr. Nam smiled grimly. "Good. That gives us the advantage we need. How much time before they get suspicious?" "Hard to say, but I don't think we have long. They're economic. Isolation isn't just cutting off trade. Our intelligence suggests it's orbital bombardment followed by selective genocide. Then we'd better be ready. The shipyards are working around the clock. How many ships will we have in 30 days? Yuna checked her reports. The latest count shows 800 completed vessels, with another 200 in final assembly, all equipped with the new weapon systems. Excellent. Captain, when you return to Earth, please report to Fleet Command immediately. Admiral Choi wants to brief you on the battle plan. Minho nodded. Understood. What should I tell the Council when the 30 days are up? Dr. Nam's smile grew wider. Tell them humanity has considered their offer very carefully. Tell them we're ready to give our answer. The transmission ended, and Minho looked at his crew. They all wore the same expression he felt inside. The galaxy had ruled through fear for 3,000 years. Every species had bowed down when faced with the Council's power. But the Council had made one critical mistake. They had never encountered humans before. They didn't understand that humans were the only species in the galaxy that had evolved as persistence hunters. They didn't know that human warfare was built on a simple principle. When someone threatened your family, you didn't negotiate. You fought back with everything you had. The aliens expected humanity's silence. Instead, they were about to hear the thunder of warships. Admiral Taeyang Kim floated in the command chair of his flagship, the Defiance, watching the sensor displays with cold satisfaction. His fleet of 800 ships had been hiding behind Pluto for 6 hours, their stealth systems making them invisible to Council sensors. The aliens had no idea what was waiting for them. Contact bearing 047, reported Sensor Officer Kyung-ho Park. 200 Council ships dropping out of hyperspace near Earth orbit. Right on schedule, Taeyang murmured. Captain, Yoonji, are your destroyers ready? Captain Yoonji Park's face appeared on the communication screen. She commanded the destroyer squadron Lightning Strike, 12 of humanity's fastest and deadliest ships. Ready and waiting, sir. We've got perfect firing solutions on their command ships. Excellent. All ships, prepare for Operation Thunder. Remember, we want one survivor to carry our message back to Council space. The Council demonstration fleet had arrived exactly as intelligence predicted. 200 massive warships, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their hulls gleamed with energy shields, and weapon ports along their sides could level cities. What the aliens didn't know was that size meant nothing when your enemy controlled the engagement. Fleet Admiral Valdek to human ships, came a transmission from the lead Council vessel. You will surrender immediately and prepare for inspection. Resistance will be met with overwhelming force. Taeyang activated the response channel. This is Admiral Kim of the United Earth Federation. We're afraid we must decline your inspection. You dare refuse a direct order from the Galactic Council? We do more than refuse. We reject your authority completely. There was a long pause before the alien commander responded. Then you have chosen extinction. All ships, prepare to destroy the human fleet. What human fleet? Taeyang asked innocently. That was the signal. Across the outer solar system, 800 human warships dropped their stealth fields simultaneously. The Council ships suddenly found themselves surrounded by an enemy that had appeared from nowhere. All ships engage, Taeyang ordered. The battle began with a coordinated railgun barrage from the human fleet. Tungsten projectiles moving at 30% of light speed slammed into Council shields. The aliens had never faced kinetic weapons this powerful, and their energy barriers offered no protection. The first Council ship exploded in a brilliant flash as its reactor went critical. Then another. Within 30 seconds, 20 alien vessels had been destroyed or crippled. Impossible, came a panicked transmission from the Council flagship. How are their primitive weapons penetrating our shields? Captain Yoonji Park answered that question by leading her destroyer squadron in a devastating attack run. The Lightning Strike and her sister ships approached the Council formation at maximum speed, their railguns firing continuously. The Council ships tried to return fire with their plasma cannons, but the human destroyers were too fast and too small to target effectively. Their energy weapons, designed to fight large, slow targets, couldn't track the darting human ships. Target the command vessel, Yoonji ordered her squadron. Concentrate all firepower on their flagship. 12 destroyers opened fire simultaneously. The massive Council command ship, over 2 miles long, shuddered under the impact of hundreds of tungsten rounds. Its shields flickered and died. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as weapon systems overloaded. "This is impossible," the Council admiral screamed over the communication channel. "We are the masters of space. You are primitives." "Primitives with very large guns," Taeyang replied calmly. The battle was going exactly as planned. Human ships darted between the larger Council vessels, using their superior speed and maneuverability to avoid return fire. The aliens, used to formal battles between massive fleets, had no idea how to fight this kind of enemy. "Sir," reported Tactical Officer Soo-young Lim, "enemy formation is breaking apart. They're trying to retreat. Activate the jump inhibitors." Engineer Sang-ho Lee worked quickly at his station. Across the human fleet, specialized devices came online. The space around Earth suddenly became a prison. Nothing could jump to hyperspace within 50,000 kilometers. The Council ships found themselves trapped. Their retreat routes were cut off, and human vessels were closing in from all directions. Panic spread through the alien fleet as ship after ship fell to human weapons. "Admiral," called Commander Jaewon Ko from his cruiser Thunder. "Permission to deploy the swarm drones?" Taeyang considered for a moment. The drones were humanity's most secret weapon. Millions of tiny, intelligent projectiles that could overwhelm any defense system. But this battle was already won. Better to save them for the real war that was coming. Negative. Reserve the swarms for later. Conventional weapons are doing fine. The battle lasted exactly 47 minutes. When it ended, 199 Council ships had been destroyed or disabled. Only the flagship remained intact, and that was because Taeyang had specifically ordered his ships to spare it. "Cease fire," he commanded. "All ships, hold position." The Council flagship hung motionless in space, its weapons destroyed and its engines offline. Emergency lights flickered along its damaged hull. "Admiral Valdek," Taeyang said into the communication system. "Are you still alive over there?" "How?" came the weak reply. "How did you do this? Your technology is centuries behind ours. You made the same mistake everyone makes when they look at humans. You saw our technology and assumed we were primitive. You never bothered to understand how we think." "I don't understand." Taeyang smiled grimly. "Every other species in the galaxy developed spaceflight after achieving peace. You all learned to cooperate, then reached for the stars. Humans are different. We've been fighting each other for our entire history. We know war in a way you never will. But our ships are larger, our weapons more powerful. Size doesn't matter if you can't hit your target. Power means nothing if you can't use it effectively. You build ships to intimidate, we build them to kill." The alien admiral was silent for a long moment. "What do you want?" "We want you to carry a message back to your council. Tell them that humanity rejects their authority. Tell them we have a counterproposal for galactic peace." "What proposal?" "Leave us alone and we'll leave you alone. Try to force us into submission and we'll show the galaxy what happens when you threaten our families." "The council will never accept this. They will send the Grand Fleet, 5,000 ships from across the galaxy." "Good," Taeyang replied. "We'll be waiting for them." He cut the transmission and turned to his communications officer. "Send word to Earth. Tell them the demonstration fleet has been dealt with. Ask Admiral Choi how long until the defense grid is complete. Message sent, sir. Reply coming in now. The officer paused, reading his screen. Admiral Choi reports that all orbital platforms will be operational within 72 hours. He also says to tell you, well done. Taeyang nodded. The Battle of Seoul was over, but the war was just beginning. The Council would respond with everything they had, and humanity needed to be ready. He looked at the wreckage floating around Earth orbit, the remains of ships that had come to intimidate humanity into surrender. The aliens had expected to find a weak species begging for mercy. Instead, they had discovered that humans were very different from every other race in the galaxy. All ships return to base, he ordered. Get rearmed and refueled. When the Grand Fleet arrives, we want to give them the same warm welcome. As the human ships began their journey back to their hidden bases, the damaged Council flagship limped toward the edge of the solar system. Its survivor would carry word of humanity's victory back to Nexus Prime, where it would shock the galactic community. For 3,000 years, no one had dared to challenge Council authority. Now, a species that had just discovered faster than light, travel had destroyed an entire demonstration fleet without losing a single ship. The galaxy was about to learn that the age of unquestioned Council dominance was over. Humanity had announced its presence with the thunder of warships, and the sound would echo across the stars. Admiral Kyungmin 1 sat deep inside the Lunar Command Center, 3 miles below the surface of the moon. Around him, dozens of officers monitored screens showing the most sophisticated defense network in galactic history. 500 orbital weapon platforms surrounded Earth, each one capable of destroying a capital ship with a single shot. Contact, announced Sensor Officer Hyunjin Choi. 5,000 ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. "Do, Grand Fleet," Kyungmin said calmly. "Right on schedule. How long until they reach engagement range?" 6 hours at their current speed, sir. Kyungmin nodded. 6 hours was perfect. It would give the Council fleet time to see what they were facing, and time to make the same mistakes their predecessors had made. Open a channel to all platforms. Begin charging primary weapons. Across the solar system, massive energy signatures began building. The orbital platforms had been designed specifically to fight large, heavily armored targets. Each platform was essentially a miniature star, focused into a weapon that could crack a moon. "Sir," called Communications Officer Narration. "We're receiving a transmission from the Council fleet. Put it through." The main screen showed an alien unlike any human had seen before. This one was larger than Valdris or Thexan, with thick armor covering its entire body and glowing red eyes. When it spoke, its voice was filled with rage. "I am War Supreme Koraxin, Commander of the Grand Fleet. You will surrender immediately, or we will turn your pathetic world into cosmic dust. This is Admiral Wan of the United Earth Federation. I'm afraid we must decline your generous offer. Your arrogance will be your destruction. We have 5,000 ships, the largest fleet ever assembled. You cannot possibly resist us." "We've heard that before," Kyungmin replied. "How did that work out for your demonstration fleet?" The alien's eyes flared brighter. "That was a minor setback. This time, you face the full might of the Galactic Council. Prepare to witness true power." The transmission ended, and Kyungmin turned to his staff. "Tactical assessment?" Captain Soo-young Lim pulled up a display of the approaching fleet. "Standard Council formation, sir. Large ships in the center, smaller vessels on the flanks. They're moving in a straight line toward Earth, making no attempt at tactical maneuvering. Weapons analysis, plasma cannons, particle beams, and fusion missiles. All energy-based weapons with limited effectiveness against hardened targets. No kinetic weapons detected. Defenses? Energy shields operating on the same frequency as before. No adaptive capability." Kyungmin smiled. The Council had learned nothing from their previous defeat. They were making the same mistakes, just with more ships. "Commander Ko, are your drones ready?" Commander Jae-hwan Ko's face appeared on the communication screen. He was aboard the drone carrier Swarm, hidden behind one of Jupiter's moons. "Ready and waiting, sir. We have 10 million units prepared for deployment." Excellent. Captain Lim, what's the status of our mobile fleet? Admiral Kim has 2,000 ships positioned throughout the outer system. They're maintaining stealth protocols and waiting for your signal. Kyungmin checked the countdown timer. 4 hours until the Council fleet reached Earth orbit. Time to spring the trap. All platforms prepare for coordinated strike. Target the lead elements of their formation. As the Council fleet approached Earth, they saw exactly what they expected to see. A small number of human ships fleeing toward the planet, and some kind of defensive installations in orbit. What they didn't see were the thousands of human vessels hiding throughout the solar system, or the true nature of Earth's orbital defenses. 3 hours to engagement range, reported Hyunjin. Sir, Nari called out. We're intercepting Council communications. They're discussing their attack plan. What are they saying? Standard Council tactics. They plan to destroy our orbital defenses with long-range bombardment, then close in for the final assault. They're not expecting any real resistance. Perfect. Let them get closer. Kyungmin watched the tactical display as 5,000 alien warships approached Earth. Each ship was massive, bristling with weapons and protected by powerful shields. Under normal circumstances, such a fleet could conquer entire star systems. But these weren't normal circumstances. The Council was about to face an enemy that had spent centuries perfecting the art of warfare. 1 hour to engagement range, Hyunjin announced. Begin the demonstration, Kyungmin ordered. At the edge of Earth's defensive perimeter, 50 orbital platforms suddenly came to life. Brilliant beams of concentrated energy lanced out toward the approaching fleet. The weapons moved at the speed of light, giving the Council ships no time to evade. The first salvo struck 20 alien vessels simultaneously. Their shields flared and died instantly, overwhelmed by energies they had never encountered. The massive ships exploded in brilliant flashes, their destruction visible from Earth's surface. Impossible, came a panicked transmission from the Council fleet. Those energy levels are beyond anything we've ever recorded. That was just a warm-up, Kyungmin replied calmly. We have 450 more platforms waiting. The Council fleet slowed its advance, suddenly uncertain. They had expected to face primitive weapons, not a defense network that could destroy their largest ships with ease. Sir, called Captain Lim. They're reorganizing their formation. Looks like they're planning to rush our defenses. Let them come. Commander Ko, deploy the swarms. From hidden positions throughout the solar system, millions of tiny objects began moving toward the Council fleet. Each drone was no larger than a human fist, equipped with a small but powerful explosive charge and guided by an artificial intelligence that could adapt to any situation. The Council ships detected the approaching swarms and opened fire with their point defense systems. Energy beams lanced out, destroying thousands of drones in brilliant flashes. But for every drone they destroyed, 10 more took its place. What are those things? Demanded War Supreme Koraxin. The future of warfare, Kyungmin replied. You're facing an enemy that doesn't think like you do. We don't build a few large weapons and hope they're enough. We build millions of small ones and overwhelm your defenses. The swarm drones reached the Council fleet and began their attack. They swarmed over the massive alien ships like angry insects, each one seeking out weak points in armor and shields. The Council vessels fired frantically, but their weapons were designed to fight large targets, not tiny agile drones. Explosions rippled across the alien fleet as drones found their targets. Engine systems failed. Weapon platforms went offline, shield generators overloaded and shut down. This is madness, Koraxin screamed. No civilized species fights like this. You're right, Kyungmin agreed. Civilized species surrender when they're outmatched. We're not that civilized. As the Council fleet struggled against the drone swarms, Admiral Kim's hidden fleet struck from the flanks. 2,000 human ships emerged from stealth, their weapons already locked onto targets. The aliens found themselves surrounded, just as their demonstration fleet had been. The battle was brutal and one-sided. Human ships darted between the larger Council vessels, using superior speed and maneuverability to avoid return fire. Orbital platforms continued their devastating bombardment, destroying any alien ship that tried to approach Earth. Within 2 hours, the mighty Grand Fleet was reduced to burning wreckage. Of the 5,000 ships that had come to conquer humanity, fewer than 100 remained functional. "Admiral," called Nari, "we're detecting jump signatures throughout Council space. Other fleets are mobilizing." Kyungmin studied the intelligence reports. "How many ships?" "Preliminary estimates suggest over 30,000 vessels from across the galaxy. They're calling it the Final Armada." "Good," Kyungmin said calmly. "It's about time they took us seriously." He opened a channel to the surviving Council ships. "War Supreme Koraxon, are you still alive?" "How?" came the weak reply. "How do you fight like this? War is supposed to be honorable, civilized." "War isn't honorable," Kyungmin replied. "War is about survival. You threatened our families, so we're going to destroy you. It's that simple. The Final Armada will crush you. 30,000 ships from every corner of the galaxy. We'll be ready for them. In fact, we're looking forward to it. It's time the galaxy learned what happens when you threaten humanity." As the few surviving Council ships limped away from Earth, Kyungmin turned to his staff. "Send word to Admiral Park. Tell him it's time to reveal our true strength." The Grand Fleet's destruction would send shockwaves throughout the galaxy. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Council had been decisively defeated. Their reputation for invincibility was shattered. But more importantly, humanity had demonstrated something the galaxy had never seen before: a completely different way of thinking about warfare. While other species built a few powerful weapons, humans built millions of smaller ones. While others fought with honor and ceremony, humans fought to win. The Final Armada would be the Council's last chance to maintain their empire. 30,000 ships against whatever humanity could field. The aliens thought it would be a slaughter. They were right, just not in the way they expected. Supreme Chancellor Valdris stood on the bridge of the massive flagship galaxy's dominion, watching as 30,000 ships assembled around him. The Final Armada stretched in every direction, the largest military force ever gathered in galactic history. Ships from every Council member world had answered the call for humanity's destruction. "This ends today," Valdris declared to his assembled commanders. "The human plague will be wiped from the galaxy, and order will be restored." "War Prime," Thexan nodded grimly. "Our intelligence reports suggest they have at most 2,000 ships scattered across their territory. Even with their advanced weapons, they cannot stand against this force. What about their orbital defenses? Powerful but limited to their home system. Once we destroy Earth, the rest of their colonies will surrender or be eliminated." Valdris activated the fleet communication system. "Warriors of the galaxy, today we face the greatest threat to galactic peace in 3,000 years. The humans have rejected our guidance and chosen the path of violence. They have forgotten their place in the natural order." Cheers erupted from thousands of ships as representatives from dozens of species voiced their support for the coming battle. "But we will remind them," Valdris continued. "We will show them the price of defying the Council. Today, we restore order to the galaxy." As the Final Armada prepared to depart for Earth, none of them noticed the small objects watching from the edge of sensor range. Human reconnaissance drones had been tracking Council fleet movements for weeks, sending detailed reports back to Earth about the enemy's numbers and capabilities. Admiral Taehyun Park received those reports in his command center aboard the Unconquerable, hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Around him, holographic displays showed the true scope of humanity's war machine. 30,000 ships, he said to his staff. "They're really bringing everything they have." Captain Ji-yeon, Moon looked up from her tactical display. "Our latest count shows 21,800 human vessels ready for deployment. We're still outnumbered, but not as badly as they think." "Weapon status?" "All ships are equipped with the new plasma torpedoes. The railgun systems have been upgraded with improved targeting, and we have 50 million swarm drones ready for deployment." Admiral Park nodded. For 5 years, humanity had been preparing for this moment. Every shipyard in human space had been working around the clock, building vessels designed specifically to fight Council forces. The aliens thought they were facing a primitive species with limited resources. They had no idea what human industrial capacity could accomplish when properly motivated. Fleet positions? Commander Woojin Nam activated a display showing ship movements throughout the galaxy. All fleets are in position, sir. Admiral Kim has 5,000 ships ready to hit Nexus Prime. Admiral Choi is standing by with 8,000 vessels to intercept their reinforcements. The remaining ships are positioned for simultaneous strikes across Council space. Excellent. How long until the final armada reaches Earth? 18 hours, sir. Perfect. That gives us time to implement the full battle plan. Send the signal. Operation Liberation begins now. Across the galaxy, human fleets that had been hiding in deep space suddenly came to life. They emerged from stealth near major council worlds, their weapons already locked onto military targets. The first strike fell on Nexus Prime itself. Captain Jian Moon led her battle group out of hyperspace directly above the council capital, taking the orbital defenses completely by surprise. Her 12 dreadnoughts opened fire simultaneously, their plasma torpedoes turning the defensive platforms into expanding clouds of superheated gas. Target the Council Command Center, she ordered. I want their entire leadership structure eliminated. On the planet's surface, massive explosions rippled across the government district as human weapons found their marks. The beings who had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years suddenly found themselves under attack in their own capital. Impossible, Valdris screamed from his flagship. How can they be at Nexus Prime? All human ships are supposed to be defending Earth. Sir, his intelligence officer reported, we're receiving similar reports from across Council space. Human fleets are attacking military installations on 17 different worlds simultaneously. How many ships do they have? Current estimates suggest over 20,000 vessels, sir. Far more than our intelligence indicated. Valdris felt cold fear creeping up his spine. The humans had been planning this for years, building ships in secret while pretending to be a weak, primitive species. They had fooled the entire galaxy. Recall the final armada, he ordered. We need to defend our core worlds. Sir, it's too late. The human attacks are coordinated. By the time our ships can return, our military infrastructure will be destroyed. On Earth, Admiral Park watched the battle reports with satisfaction. Every human attack was proceeding exactly as planned. The Council's forces were scattered across the galaxy, trying to respond to dozens of simultaneous strikes. Sir, reported Communications Officer Dayun Yoon. We've intercepted Council communications. War Prime Thexon's flagship has been destroyed. Chancellor Valdris is demanding immediate reinforcements. What about their member species? That's where it gets interesting. We're detecting massive communications traffic between Council worlds. Several species are questioning their loyalty to the Council. Admiral Park smiled. Fear is a powerful motivator. For 3,000 years, the Council ruled through intimidation. Now that they're the ones being intimidated, their empire is falling apart. The breakthrough came when Commander Woojin Nam's fleet successfully captured War Prime Thexon's flagship before it could be destroyed. The alien commander was taken alive, along with his entire command staff and their computer systems. Admiral, Dahyun reported excitedly, we've cracked their central database. We have the location of every Council military installation, every supply depot, every secret base. We also have their complete political structure. Which species are loyal? Which ones are considering rebellion? How bad is their situation? Worse than we hoped. 12 member species have already declared independence from the Council. Another 20 are considering it. Their empire is collapsing. Admiral, Park studied the intelligence reports. The Council's greatest strength, their vast multi-species empire, was becoming their weakness. Fear had held them together, but fear could also tear them apart. Sir, called Captain Moon from Nexus Prime. The Council government has evacuated the capital. We control the planet. Excellent. Begin broadcasting to the galaxy. It's time to make our offer. Across Council space, human ships began transmitting the same message in hundreds of languages. President In-suk Choi appeared on screens throughout the galaxy, speaking calmly and clearly. People of the galaxy, she began, humanity offers you a choice. For 3,000 years you have lived under the Council's rule. You have been told this was necessary for peace, but the truth is different. The Council rules through fear, not justice. The transmission showed images of Council military installations being destroyed by human forces. Today, we have demonstrated that the Council's power is not absolute. Their fleets can be defeated. Their worlds can be conquered. Their empire can fall. But we do not wish to replace one tyrant with another. Humanity offers a different path, true freedom for all species. Join us in building a galaxy based on cooperation, not domination. Help us create a future where might serves right, not the other way around. The message ended with coordinates for species wanting to negotiate with humanity, and a promise of protection for any world that declared independence from the Council. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, 47 species had declared independence. Within days, the number had risen to over 100. The 3,000-year empire was crumbling. Chancellor Valdris made one last attempt to rally his forces. "The humans are deceiving you," he broadcast to the galaxy. "They will enslave you just as we did. Do not trust their lies." But his words fell on deaf ears. The galaxy had seen human actions, not just their promises. While the Council threatened civilian populations, human forces targeted only military installations. While the Council demanded surrender, humanity offered partnership. The final armada, reduced to fewer than 10,000 ships, made one desperate attack on Earth. They found the solar system defended by not just orbital platforms, but by a fleet of over 15,000 human vessels that had returned from their successful missions across the galaxy. The battle was brief and decisive. The last great Council fleet was destroyed in less than 3 hours, its remnants scattered to the void. As the wreckage of the final armada drifted in space around Earth, Admiral Park opened a channel to the surviving Council forces throughout the galaxy. "This is Admiral Park of the United Earth Federation. To all Council ships and installations, you have one choice. Surrender now, or be destroyed. The age of Council dominance is over. The age of galactic freedom has begun." One by one, Council fleets across the galaxy began surrendering. The 3,000-year empire that had ruled through fear and intimidation had finally met an enemy it could not defeat or intimidate. Humanity had kept its promise. They had brought the thunder of warships to a galaxy that expected only silence.